Hello, I'm Jerry McKee, and welcome to Prime Time. And it's 7 o'clock. You can hear all the clocks going off, and you will hear a couple more, but that's okay. We got a great show for you today. We're going to have Barbara Rippey here, and she's going to be talking about the way she kind of grew up and her love story and all that kind of good juicy stuff like that. We're gonna get some juice out of her today, and I know she knows some. She knows some things there.
I don't know, Jerry, if I do or not.
I don't know, Barbara.
I might not can tell it over the air.
Oh, well, that might be a little risque there. So we're going to come back to Barbara Rippey in a minute. As you can see her beautiful face right there. But right now, we're going to go to our sponsor, Keepsake Jewelers. And
You know her smile in an instance. You know her touch at every moment. Your mom loves and supports you, caring for you at every age. Your mom deserves something special that will remind her of you and your everlasting love for years to come. Say thank you this Mother's Day for all she does for you when you present her with sparkling jewelry from Keepsake Jewelers of Union. Keepsake Jewelers makes gift giving easy. Say I love you now and forever. Mom deserves something as dazzling as she is. Celebrate Mom at Keepsake Jewelers. Keepsake Jewelers, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union. After all, mothers hold their child's hand for a moment, but their heart for a lifetime.
all right, we're back. It didn't take but a minute, and we're back here with Barbara Rippey. And hope that you stay tuned. If you got any questions, and we've got to do this here. Let me throw up a telephone number here right for you. You can see Barbara and come back to myself a little bit there. We got Barbara Rippey here, and everyone knows Barbara Rippey because she's around Union everywhere. She's been on TV, and with that old Jack Roper.
Yeah, right. Don't call him old or anything. That'll get him upset.
Yes, I know it, but he did you that day.
I know it. He just gives me a hard time.
He threw you under the bus.
I know it.
But he's a wonderful guy. He really is.
Yeah,
and he
really
loves
is.
to pick with you.
Yeah, well,
So, and this is Barbara Rippey. You see her all over the pages on TV and on radio and all kind of things. She's just a very, very busy lady for being 50 years old. I tell you, she's just really busy.
ooh, you better tell the truth about my age.
That's right. I'm a preacher, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, Barbara, I have a question for you. When you're young and growing up, how did you meet Bobby, your late husband?
Well, that was just a great thing, I guess. But I'm from Inman, and our high school was right across the road from where the theater was. And so I worked there as a cashier at the theater during my senior year. So I'd get out of school, just cross the road, go to work at the theater. So although I just worked my senior year there and I quit, that me and Bobby had started going together. We'd been going together about 3 years. And
So did he get free tickets in the theater, or did you get free tickets? So you worked in the theater, right?
I worked in the theater.
Did you kind of let him come in some free tickets sometimes?
Well, you know what he did, though, Jerry? I can't believe this. You wouldn't believe some of the boys. They were in high school in Edmond, and they had come. One or two worked at the drugstore for us. I said drugstore, I meant the theater. And they would come and ask Bobby could they borrow his car so they could go on a date. And honey, you wouldn't believe that car was used just about every night from one of those boys that come and had a date with a good-looking girl,
Well, did Bobby get to use the car any?
Not while he was running the theater. See, the
Right.
theater would be on. It wouldn't go off till about 11 o'clock at night time. So, see, they'd be up there wanting that car
Now,
and
so,
stuff.
so you and Bobby just about to get to see all those good movies, didn't you?
Oh, gosh, yeah. The only thing, Jerry, that I should have had a little bit of brain and thought, he played Elvis movies. He just played all kind of Western. And they always had these papers in front of the theater, you know, behind the glass to advertise what was coming up. Well, he didn't have to return those. We threw them in the trash can.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine how much money we threw in the trash can from Elvis?
We could show movies out here with those, couldn't we?
I know we could have really.
Yeah, because that back then, Elvis was hot then.
Oh, gosh,
People
yeah.
would just rush to the movies. Now, how did Bobby ask you to on that first date? Where'd you go on that first date? Surely not to the movies.
Well, no, because, you know, every town, I don't know if they still have these or not, but they used to have one in every town. They called it, what did they call it? The Bluebird.
Okay.
They had the little Bluebird, and this one was not downtown. It was out. So we'd go down there after we closed the theater. He'd close the theater, and we'd circle around, and we'd get us something to eat. And I guess he finally got tired of that. So I guess he finally, I don't know if he asked me or I asked him, Jury. I wonder which one we did. I can't remember.
Well,
but I hope it was him asking me.
so y'all went cruising and kind of get something to eat afterwards and like that. And
yeah.
And where did he ask you to marry you at?
Really, I don't know. But I know where I got married.
Where'd you get married at?
I got married at Osbury United Methodist Church in Inman.
Oh, okay.
And Preacher Curry was the one that married us, and I had never heard of or anybody else that had ever done this, and I still hadn't heard it. But I just told the preacher about it, that I wanted to get married. And you know, that preacher that particular morning, he said, I'm going to fix it up. Well, anyways, he preached about marriage. That was his sermon, was marriage. Then at the end part of the service, he married us. So,
wow.
So all of it was taking place in that 1 hour, you know, from the time he said that. It reminded people that was already married,
Right.
you know, to be faithful and do all this, whatever. It was good.
So you got married on a Sunday then?
Yeah.
Oh, well, see, that all tied in good, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
And now, did you stand with the traditions where Bobby couldn't see you the day before or the day of the wedding?
Oh, you know, back then, that was so many years ago. I got married in 55 that...
That's when I was born.
Oh, gosh, now you're really making me feel bad, aren't you? Oh, I know it.
Making you feel younger.
Well, it made me feel well good then. But no, like you say, we just did that. And you know where we went on a honeymoon was down to Myrtle Beach.
Oh, okay.
And him being in theater business at that time when we got married, this time we got married, they moved it from the Inman Theater, that was my home, down to Conway, South Carolina.
Oh, wow, that's right at the beach.
I know it, and I couldn't drive. And honey, when we moved there that day, it was Thanksgiving Day. I'll never forget it. And he had this little green coupe car. And honey, when he pulled there at that theater, I was crying. Oh, gosh, I was crying. You won't believe. And Bobby said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. And I said, I don't either. I said, can't take this. See, I was way away from home. My home, couldn't drive. So anyways, back then, I was so old, this was so many years ago, that they didn't have motels. They just had boarding houses. So I had to go around to Miss Todd's boarding house. And I was just crying. She hugged my neck, and she said, Barbara, you just stay with me this afternoon. Let Bobby go on up to the theater there and everything. He said, you just stay here. And so we stayed with her a number of weeks before we found a small apartment.
Well, at least you had someone that were kind of was comforting you during this time, because it's a big step when a bride leaves the home. And I know with Susan, she'd call and Edward would crying and she'd be crying, and they only lived 2 miles away.
Gosh knows.
So that empty nest syndrome and stuff, it goes both ways. Now, here's Bobby in theater, managing a big theater. What turn of events decided to make him go into pharmacies? Is it something he always wanted to do, or?
Yeah, well, that's what he really wanted to do, but he'd gotten into that theater. He was from Blacksburg, and he
Right.
went to work at the theater in Blacksburg and was transferred over there to Edmond, where I was working as cashier. But then when he started wanting to definitely go back to school, that he went down to Charleston and to the medical pharmacy down there and talked to them, but they said, well, if you'd have come about a month earlier, you could go this year. But since you didn't, you're going to have to wait till next year. So you won't believe what we had to do. Theater didn't pay much back then and stuff, really.
Did you go to work in the theater there also?
Yeah, I think I made $1 an hour. I
Well, see,
think.
that was really good of him. He married the lady that worked in the theater. He gets transferred. Well, you going with him? He got another employee. It was a win-win for him.
Yeah, so anyways, we saved every dime we could. So when we get down there to go start pharmacy school, Bobby, we've got $1,000 we had saved. But you know, back then that was a lot of money, $1,000.
Wow, it was.
I mean, so like you say, when we got down there, it was rough, but Bobby went to school and he, like you said, they what about 4 years back then,
Right.
way back. And I think it's 6 now.
So when y'all moved, I imagine you moved to Charleston,
Yeah.
and what kind of jobs did you get in Charleston? Did he go stay with the theater?
Well, Bobby wasn't able to work much. He worked a few hours a week at one of the drugstores. But now I went to the bank.
Okay.
And I went up to the bank and I told him that my husband was going to college and that I really needed a job. So the man tells me, he said, Miss Barbara, I'm sorry, but we just don't have an opening right now. And I said, oh my. He said, but you can fill out an application. So I said, well, I'll do that because I got to work. Filled it out, and you won't believe what happened. I just cannot believe this. He looked at the application I filled out. He said, do you know how to use a 10-key machine? I said, yes, sir, that's what I took in business school. He said, when can you go to work? He said, can you go tomorrow? Come tomorrow? I said, yes, I sure can. Went to work there for him the next day and worked the whole 4 years for him.
Well, that's great. What happened is he was probably judging you, but looking at you, thinking, well, you probably don't know much, and you fill an application out, and he happens to look on that, and kind of stuck him out. Wow, she got this training right here. We got to hire her, and it's probably the best decision he ever made.
Yeah, so.
So when Bobby got out of school and got his license to be a pharmacist, where did you go after that? What did you go to another pharmacy?
We moved up to Cowpens.
Okay.
And the pharmacists, they needed a pharmacist there. So we went there and we worked 6 years there. And then this drugstore came for sale in Union. And we went down to talk to the man that was, retired.
Well, how long was you in Cowpens?
We were in there 6 years.
6 years. I want you to hold that thought a minute. We got to go to a commercial, and we'll be right back with Barbara. Don't go away nowhere because she's got some interesting things coming up that's going to be able to tell you what brought them to Union. And you've heard a little bit of the love story and getting together and all that. I never knew all this stuff, so I'm learning a lot of stuff about you, Barbara.
Well,
and we'll be right.
You know her smile in an instance. You know her touch at every moment. Your mom loves and supports you, caring for you at every age. Your mom deserves something special that will remind her of you and your everlasting love for years to come. Say thank you this Mother's Day for all she does for you when you present her with sparkling jewelry from Keepsake Jewelers of Union. Keepsake Jewelers makes gift giving easy. Say I love you now and forever. Mom deserves something as dazzling as she is. Celebrate Mom at Keepsake Jewelers. Keepsake Jewelers, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union. After all, mothers hold their child's hand for a moment, but their heart for a lifetime.
All right, I'm back with you, Jerry McKee with Prime Time, and we're talking to Barbara Rippey, and we're learning a lot about her life and love life with Bobby. And now we're going to learn what brought them to the little small town of Union. Here they were in Charleston, they was in Conway, they were in all these little places like that, and their adventure started, and then Cowpens in. But now we're going to find out what brought them to little old Union back then. Of course, the little Union was flourishing downtown quite a bit. And Barbara, you just begin to tell us what brought you to Union.
Well, I can't believe that one of the pharmacists, Dr. Calvert, owned Smith's drugstore, and he was wanting to sell, so we come and talk to him, and so we worked up a deal and bought the drugstore from him, and well, he didn't sell it to us right away. He just let us read it for a while and stuff. But anyways, he come back and he was ready to sell it, so we did buy it.
Well, that was a great big step there. Was you scared to death?
Really, I was.
For that first, to go into business like that, and here you're just getting out of the college. I know he's been in the farms for 6 years, and now did you work in Cowpens anywhere when the 6 years?
Yes, you won't believe I worked in a grocery store with a cash register.
Well, one thing about it, you had experience in retail, didn't you?
You're right.
Right. So I know it had to be, you and Bobby really discussed this, and y'all probably really had to have some big, deep discussions before you took that big step.
Well, we did, really. And I'll need to say, Jerry, that God has been with us ever since we got married and ever since we went to pharmacy school. And I know Bobby's passed away 11 years ago, but my God is still with me, and I know he's with you.
He sure is. Amen to that. I know he's with you because you've had some real close calls there. Now, what did it feel like that first day that you and Bobby walked into the store in Union, South Carolina, downtown, to open up your business?
You wouldn't believe it was 5 independent drugstores on Main Street.
Really?
It was 5. And so when we got there, I said, oh gosh, what's going to happen to us? We won't never do any business. And about that time, you know what happened then. Walmart came in.
Oh.
We didn't get there long till Walmart come in. And I'll have to laugh and tell you this, Jerry, but I would go around saying, oh my, Walmart's here, we won't do anything. And Bobby found it one day. He said, will you please hush talking about Walmart? Said every time you do, you're advertising for them. You know, and so that made sense. So I quit talking about them. We dropped our prices down, and honey, Walmart never did bother us again. I never did think nothing about them.
Right. And see, even with Walmart here, if I can go into an independent business that's got great service and I'd rather give back to the community like that. I know Walmart's a huge corporation and got stores everywhere, but I know that had to scare you to death to open that door. But especially, what happened to all the other drugstores?
Well, one of the men, he played Wiley, he was up in years, and so he decided to sell. So they just kind of moved out. George Keller, had one of them. Palmetto drug. And bless his heart, he was such a good person. We, if we run out of a drug, we'd borrow from each other. And we did that, and we just had a great relationship.
Well, that's very helpful on, you know, helping one another like that because, we always need that extra help to, because I work in the company that sometimes I have to go borrow from another place to fix another place. And it's just like working together. And when you're working together like that, you really prosper.
You really do and
And
stuff. We did good there, but there is one thing, Jerry, that I want to tell you about Bobby Rippey.
okay,
When we moved here, we didn't charge right at first, but we did not long after we'd opened up. And one evening, this lady come in and had this little baby. The baby was just crying. The baby was sick. The baby had been up to Dr. Fielder's office, It was over our drugstore. So Bobby filled a prescription, and she said, Dr. Rippey, would you charge that to me? And Bobby said, yes. Well, Jury, bless her heart, that woman's heart, that child, and she had another child. So those two children stayed sick. That she come into the drugstore over a period of about 4 months and charged 4 prescriptions. So when she did that and she left, I told Bobby, I said, Bobby, that's 4 times she's charged. She hadn't paid nothing. And Bobby looked at me. He said, Barbara, I need to tell you, as long as I've got money, no child will go out that front door without their medicine.
wow.
And when he said that, I started crying, and I said, Bobby, you're right. And do you know that we never did let a baby go out that front door? The older people we could, a lot of them was trying to get some of that controlled drugs or something.
Oh, yeah.
So, buddy, you could tell them no in a minute, and not charge them.
Yeah, and God looks at that too, and he blessed both of you with that. Now I know Bobby was the pharmacist that did all the drugs, stuff like that, and putting stuff together. But I've been in the Smith's drugstore, and as a matter of fact, it was one of the places that Edna brought me when I first moved down, or I came to Union. And remember meeting you and Bobby, and I think it was something we was doing or something like that. We was asking you about. I forgot what it was. Been so many years ago, but I noticed in there that man, you had it stocked full of a little bit of everything. Now I know Bobby probably did all the ordering for the medicine stuff like that, but did you do the ordering for the store itself?
I did, but now all of us sort of did. We made sure that the employees, if they sold the last one on the shelf, they'd definitely go order then. But then we had somebody that we had checked it. Well, 2 days out of the week, check it thorough, to make sure we had plenty of what we needed.
So and back then they really didn't have the computers, did they?
Oh no, they didn't really.
So you had to allegedly write things down,
Yeah.
and with your skills, you probably took care of the books and things like that.
Well, we had a bookkeeper and stuff that worked for us.
Yeah.
And stuff. I don't know if you remember Dorothy Johns. She went to Grace Church with me, and she worked for us a number of years. Just a sweet lady. I'm gonna tell you what she did. When we first hired her, we had a candy. Candy back then was 5 and 10 cents.
Uh-huh.
And you wouldn't believe at the candy that we had. We had this humongous thing to put the candy in, with a little slide door. Well, several times I saw that the register was backed up. So I went up there to her and I kind of watched. I didn't say much. And at that time, what she was doing, she didn't know the price where it was a nickel or a dime. So she'd go around there and look. So I just finally told her, I said, Miss Dot, what you need to do is just put a nickel down. That's not going to break us. So she quit going around there looking at the prices. She just started putting a nickel.
So if someone could buy some candy, she'd run around the counter and look and see what the price is and run back around?
Yeah. See, that took a long time to do that, and people, the line just backed up. So it wasn't worth a nickel for us to let her do that. You get the customer upset about having to wait so long.
Right.
And
Now,
stuff.
what are some of the things you had in your store that really stuck out that you just had to have in there, as far as whether it be an item that you set on your table, or what was one of the things that really sticks out to you that was in your store that you loved selling?
Well, it was called red oil. Red oil. Have you ever heard of it?
Never heard of red
I have.
oil.
But it was for pain, and we had a woman that lived in Whitmire, and she would call ever so often. She'd order 24 bottles. Said, I'm going to order 24, so y'all go ahead and order them, so y'all will have all of them, because see, we didn't sell it that good. So we kept 3 or 4 on the shelf. But
Right.
she'd call and get 24. She said that's the only place she could find it was at Smith's Drugstore.
Well, what was she doing with 24 bottles?
Just pain. A lot of people use that for pain.
Now, did they drink it or put it on?
No, they put it on them. It was a liquid, but no, they poured it on them. But it was good for pain. I wish we had a bottle of it. I'd give it to you.
So she used it for arthritis or any type of pain
Yes,
like that?
like that.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe people need to start getting that. You probably can't even find it now.
Well, I don't know whether they still make it or not. Me and you will have to check on it.
Right. Maybe we can make some up, right?
Yeah, right. And do something.
With your store, when people come in, did they when they looked around and did you have a lot of questions saying, where's this at? Where's that at? Where's this at? And you had to come down and
You'd have to go get it for them a lot of times, especially elderly people.
right. Did they have a lot of questions to ask you especially when they come in to get medications and things like that? Because sometimes your pharmacy knows more about the medication than the doctor does a lot of times, and I know certain side effects, certain things like that. And did they have a lot of questions they even ask you and Bobby to let them know what they're taking, or it just kind of brings me back to the Andy Griffith story, where the little lady was just dying, and she said she couldn't afford her medicine because they was going to charge her a dime now instead of the other, and she wouldn't give it to her, so she got to be rotting about town. But what it was sugar pills. Well, she had to have them, and they give them to her. And I know that sometimes they have placebo that the doctor orders and prescriptions like that. But I know they use a lot of this medicine or a lot of stuff years ago that really didn't help you at all. It's almost like the medicine man that would come with his wagon and give you that lecture that had so much liquor in it that it would.
Yeah.
Do you think you felt good? So did you have anyone come in and just kind of ask for something kind of odd like that?
Well, they did, and we really had 2 or 3 customers that their husbands were elderly, and well, they were too, but they would be so concerned about what time they should take the medicine, although it'd say one daily or whatever. And so Bobby would have to go through that with them. But we had some people, a few, that the women would set their alarm, so they would give their husband that medicine at the same time every day. Just didn't guess or something. That's like me. I take blood pressure medicine, and really I take it when I go to bed. See, I go to bed different times every night, so I just take it at night time.
Well, and we're going to come back to this question here after this commercial again. We're going to talk to you a little bit about you're talking about bedtime, And I know that you never got a call in the middle of the night or on the weekends, nothing like that, for you to get up and for you and Bobby to get up and go do anything. So we're going to get back to that in just a moment, right after these commercials. You're talking with Barbara, and Barbara's telling us some wonderful stuff here, and I'm enjoying it because it's just things I don't know because I've only been here 28 years, and but I do remember all the candy in that store too. So we'll be back right after these messages.
You know her smile in an instance. You know her touch at every moment. Your mom loves and supports you, caring for you at every age. Your mom deserves something special that will remind her of you and your everlasting love for years to come. Say thank you this Mother's Day for all she does for you when you present her with sparkling jewelry from Keepsake Jewelers of Union. Keepsake Jewelers makes gift giving easy. Say I love you now and forever. Mom deserves something as dazzling as she is. Celebrate Mom at Keepsake Jewelers. Keepsake Jewelers, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union. After all, mothers hold their child's hand for a moment, but their heart for a lifetime.
All right, you're looking at Barbara Rippey here, and she's got some wonderful stories to tell us like us. Now, the question that I'm just curious about is that running a pharmacy wasn't a 9 to 5 job 5 days a week, was it?
No,
What time did you open?
definitely. Well, now I did. Bobby did.
Okay.
So he opened at 8 in the morning, and we kept it open to 8 in the evening. But we never did close at 8 because John Doe would call and say, Dr. Rippey, I'm out of my blood pressure medicine and I don't have one to take. Can you wait on me? And we had people to call on Sunday morning, you know. I forgot it. Can you go to the drugstore after church and let me get my medicine? So Bobby did that a lot.
And that's what really made your business thrive because of that extra care that y'all give.
Yeah.
Was you open on Saturdays also?
Yeah. We
So-
just closed on Sunday.
Right. Now, when people that goes into business, they don't understand a lot of times that when you put your whole soul and heart into it, that when did you take a vacation? Did you get to take a vacation?
We'd get another pharmacist out of town, Bruce McCoy. He was such a good person, and he would relieve Bobby for a week
Oh, okay.
and whatever something. So we'd get to go somewhere, you know.
So did Bobby do the same courtesy on some of those pharmacies where they went out for a week or something, or could he do that?
Well, he didn't have time to do that and
Right.
help him with some things. The only thing that really did happen good, I don't know if you remember Frank James, but he run the theater in Union.
Okay.
And used to, before Bobby, we moved to Union to work and stuff, whatever, at the drugstore. Frank would go on vacation and he'd tell Bobby to come down and stay at his house. They were some kin, and that worked real good because, you know, Bobby could put down back then, you know, when he was working for the other person, you know, a amount they paid him. And so that was just good, clear money. So that's kind of how we got kind of started a little bit. It helped us out a lot. The drugstore building was empty just about. The man had gotten old and senile and just hadn't put back merchandise. So it took us a long time to get the drugstore stocked back with pharmaceuticals and the front stuff.
Right. And I imagine it took, I don't know how that you set it up or how your minds got together to make sure we need all this stuff here. I don't know if you had help in doing that, because if you're going, I know working in the pharmacy, Bobby pretty well knew what as far as medicines and stuff goes. But on the other side of the counter of that, it just blows my mind to think how all that stuff that you had in there, how did you, determine that this is what you need?
Yeah, well, that's true, but we worked it out.
You worked
And,
it
and
out.
we had a girl that worked for Bobby in the pharmacy, and she was Chastity was her name, and she was so good and was young and was so good that she'd get ahead of Bobby. See, if she counted anything, he had to check it, and all this stuff. And he called her Rabbit. Said, Rabbit, now slow down. You done got ahead of me. Now you got to wait on me. So we had a lot of fun. And I saw her the other day, and I had to tell her it was called her Rabbit, and she couldn't help my life.
Well, Rabbit's not too bad. That's a good name there, but it seems like she's pretty fast at it. Now, how many employees did you have when you started out and towards the end?
Gosh, I don't even know. Really, I
And
don't know. We had two or three on the floor, and then
okay,
you had to have people to help, two people in the back with Bobby. So probably about 8 or 10, about 10, I guess.
well, nowadays when
We
kid,
had part-time boys that worked after school, that put up stock and done like that, and took deliveries. We used to deliver.
yeah, Pat Quinn sent a message and was talking about when he is kind of working a little bit on the radio station, riding his bicycle, that he would come over there and Bobby would send him downstairs to, it's like in the 70s, to separate medicines or separate boxes and stuff down there, and he'd give him $1 or two
Yeah.
to do that. He shared that memory. I put it on the page there too, and I'm that you brought that up. Uh, who was the longest working employee that you had? Did you have much turnover?
No, we were really fortunate that we didn't. Faye Rogers worked 25 years, and she still is here in our nursing home here and things. And then, and Mary worked for us. Now, that was a good person. She had told us when she started to work, and she said, now look, said, when it gets 5 o'clock, I've got to go home. Said, I've got to cook for my husband and all this stuff. And honey, the next thing we knew, she just enjoyed and worked with us. And she, sometimes she wouldn't leave till 7 o'clock at night, whatever. And she'd never say, well, Dr. Rippey, I got to go. But as long as we were busy, she'd stay right there and help us.
Wow.
But now Bobby was good to her.
Right.
Bobby paid her for that.
So her husband had to wait. She come home.
Yeah, right. Or he went and got him something else to eat himself.
Now, with Bobby being open those hours like that, and you're being there too, did you cook any back in the back in the store?
Ooh. Don't ask questions like that now, 'cause I don't cook, don't you remember? You see me out eating all the time. But no, what was really sad, we'd get some hot dogs or something like that, and things, whatever. But at nighttime, we'd go over to Andy's to eat, and they closed. Well, they stayed open till 10 o'clock then. Now they stay open till 9. But we would go there and eat because that'd be the only thing that'd be open in Union besides Hardee's, And we wanted a little more than a hamburger.
And you still go over to Andy's and East because I've seen you there many times.
Yeah, well, I do.
This kind of brings back memories, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
And I remember you and Bobby coming into C.D. Wade's place downtown, right behind. Remember the big building beside the railroad tracks? It was called CD's downtown.
Oh, yeah.
And you and Bobby used to come in there sometimes and eat, and it was always late. And I thought, wow, they're working late.
Right.
And so y'all got to eat out a lot.
Well, right. We did, right, really.
Now, you mentioned that Bobby had a little green car when y'all first got married. It was a little
Green coupe.
green coupe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after you got into the pharmacy like that, when was the first time that you and Bobby went and looked at say you got a new car. I don't know if you got a new car one time or you just bought used ones. But what was the first new car that you and Bobby was able just to go purchase?
Really, I don't know. He bought it from Murphy Lemon. You know, Jarrett Motors was on was in Union at that time, and we made sure that we traded locally.
Right,
We always did that because we wanted people to trade with us, so we didn't go to Spartanburg or Columbia to buy anything.
right. So, what was that feeling like when you, because I know when you're starting out, probably in the theater, and you're going, he's going to college and work a few hours, and life wasn't just money just wasn't handed to you. That when you earned it and having to struggle through it, and now that you have enough to go purchase, because I remember the very first car that I purchased was brand new. It was the most exciting thing to me ever was because I got to buy that new car finally, and had a new car and had new car smell and stuff. So you remember the first car yet?
Well, like I say, I drove. What was it that I don't know what Murphy sold? What did he sell?
Was it Chevrolets maybe? I don't know.
Oh, what?
Oldsmobiles?
Oldsmobile.
Oh, okay.
Joanne Haney's with us, so she knew. She knows a lot more about me than I know about her.
Right. Well, I bet that Oldsmobile, because I had it was a tank. It was a 1958 Oldsmobile when I was 16, 17. And that was a big, big thing. But I was so proud of it. It was, it was fast, and it was black, and I thought it was nice. But I do remember my first one though. That excitement of a nice smell.
Now, Bobby later on, he started driving Toyotas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I had still was going with my Oldsmobile when he started going with Toyotas.
When you and Bobby in the your first house that you had built, I know a lot of couples that build houses, and here you have, if y'all getting ready to get to a new house, and you have the business to run too, and the stress of building a house. I know our little porch out here drives me nuts. I want to hurry and get finished, but I know the stress factor is usually pretty high on both ends, and so how did you and Bobby act and decide to build here in Union? Because you didn't know what it was going to be like because you starting a new business.
We never did build a new house.
Okay.
We bought one that was already built.
Already built?
Yeah.
Bless you, because that probably saved you.
Yeah, because he just didn't have time to do with that, fool with that. So
I didn't think you would working the hours that y'all worked.
yeah,
And this is the house that you live in now?
it was bought too. It was already built.
Oh, okay. But is this the one you live in now?
Yeah, I've lived in it.
Wow.
20-something years, whatever.
Right.
Or maybe longer than that. I don't know.
Well, I was curious about that because I didn't know when you first moved to Union. Did you have any doubts when you first got your business going, and doubts about why did we move here? Why did we start this? Did you have any doubts? Did Bobby and you ever have any?
I'll have to be truthful. We didn't.
Well, good.
Our customers were so good to us that we were good to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really. And you won't believe to this day, I could go downtown or I could be somewhere and people will come up to me and say, I just still miss Dr. Rippey. He was so nice to me and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that just makes me feel so good. And everybody knows I talk to them because you know how I love to talk. But Bobby didn't love to talk, but now he did. He talked to his customers and things and helped them any ways he could.
Well, that's what I noticed about Bobby. What time that I've met y'all and when we was out, it was that he was very, very quiet. And I'm thinking, maybe Barbara don't let him speak. We can't get a word
Well,
in.
that's what I got accused of, and they. I'll tell you. Did you just really want to know and hear something funny?
What's that?
Okay, you won't believe Bruce Sparks. Yeah, I don't know if you know him or not, but he traded at the drugstore, and he was just a wonderful whole family. His whole family was just good Christian people, and traded with us. Well, he knew I loved to talk. So this particular day, Bobby had waited on him and gave him his $10 change back. And so I said, Bruce, I started talking to him. I said, Bruce, let me talk to you just a minute. Well, here come Leroy Shropshire in. And Bruce said, Leroy, do me a favor, take this $10 bill and take Barbara off my hands. Said my wife's probably done left me and everything. Said I need to go. And so he took the 10, but then he gave it back to Bruce before he left. Whatever.
Well, that sounds like almost like a Freddie Galt story there too, because he loves to pick on you too.
Oh, Lord, Freddie Galt. Oh, gosh, honey. Let me tell you what happened at church
I'll tell you
one
what.
time.
Tell me right after this message, okay?
Okay,
All right, hold
you
on
got
that
to
thought.
talk about Mother's Day now because it's coming up.
It is, and it's Keepsake Jewelers. This is this Mother's Day commercial's about. So Mother's Day is next Sunday, and don't forget.
You know her smile in an instance. You know her touch at every moment. Your mom loves and supports you, caring for you at every age. Your mom deserves something special that will remind her of you and your everlasting love for years to come. Say thank you this Mother's Day for all she does for you when you present her with sparkling jewelry from Keepsake Jewelers of Union. Keepsake Jewelers makes gift giving easy. Say I love you now and forever. Mom deserves something as dazzling as she is. Celebrate Mom at Keepsake Jewelers. Keepsake Jewelers, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union. After all, mothers hold their child's hand for a moment, but their heart for a lifetime.
All right, we're back again, and we're talking to Barbara Rippey, and she's telling us some secrets in her life here in Union. Now, we don't have enough time for her to do all the secrets, so some of you are going to be passed over, but not Freddie Galt. We're going to hear a story from Barbara. Tell us about Freddie in the church.
You won't believe. He's always aggravated me about talking so much, but I tell him he talks just as much as I do. Well, this particular Sunday morning, I had gone to church, and I was bad about being late. I'd be late sometime, and he wouldn't say a thing but just pointed his watch, and all this stuff. It just upset me to death. So anyways, this particular Sunday, our preacher asked for the children to come down front so he could have a little service with them. It was not a child come down. So he looked around and he said, well, I got to have somebody to tell all this to. So he calls me out, and about 8 of us, from the congregation, the adults. So I'm in there with that. And so what the sermon that he had for the little children, has anybody ever done you wrong, or you got mad with somebody or upset with them? But I raised my hand just like a first grader. I said, I have. And he said, "You have, Barbara?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I come to church today. I was on time." And I said, Freddie got reported in his watch, and I was on time, definitely. And he said, he looked around, he said, "Freddie, come down here a minute." Freddie had to go all the way from the entrance door coming in the church all the way down to the front where the pulpit was. And he said, "Freddie, you're going to have to apologize to Barbara." Said, "Now you accused her of something she didn't do, so you got to tell her you're sorry." So Freddie looks at me, his face is red as a beet, and he said, "Barbara, I'm sorry." But I said, then he turned around and hugged my neck and said, "Barbara, I do love you, though." But he did have to do that. But Freddie, it's not but one of him.
That's right.
We couldn't take him if it was two or three.
No, we can't. We can't do that. Freddie is a good man, and I know every time he sees you, he's going to pick on you.
Yeah, he does.
And he's good for that. But you know what? A lot of people pick on Freddie too, don't they?
Oh,
For being
gosh,
short.
yeah, because they do, because he's a one of a kind.
Yes, and he can take it too.
Yeah, right.
So, and when the time came when you decided to close the store, how did that make you feel? I know it had to be the hardest thing that you had to do in your entire life.
Well, it was, but we had gotten up in age, and we just knew that we kind of need to get out of it or sell it or do something. And one thing that we did, though, we got all the salesmen and all the people that worked for, come in, detail men, and would tell them that to pass the word around that we wanted to sell the drugstore and place. But I hate to say this, but the pharmacist did not want to work the hours Bobby did.
Right.
I meant from 8 to 8. Now, he did have a relief bed one day a week, but he worked 5 days a week from 8 to 8. And
It's a lot of hours.
Right, and so those pharmacists, they didn't want to do that, so they don't.
Now, downtown Union at that particular time when y'all opened up like that, it was a lot of activities downtown, wasn't it? A lot of stores were open. I mean, it was really flourishing, wasn't it?
Oh, gosh, it was not. Like I say, it was 5 independent drugstores on Bay Street
Right.
when we come.
Did you ever go shopping on some of the stores downtown?
Oh, we did. Right. The one that left, though, was Joanne Drugs. I bet the clothing store. What was the name of it? The Spartan Bell. I could think. But Bell's department store. That just about killed our Bay Street because you could go there and find, clothes that you would really want to wear to church or wear they could order stuff for weddings and things like this for you. But we don't have that in Union now.
No, we don't. And was Graham Cash was on down Main Street.
Oh, yes.
And then you had what was the shoe place? There was a shoe place there too.
Yeah, Gordon's
Shoes that, and all these were open when I was here, and it's really sad to look and see a lot of these retail stores that kind of drifted out, and because nobody just didn't want to take them over. That's when the malls were coming in, and I think the malls now, it's like a cycle going out, and some stores are starting to open back up on Main Street, and so it was. Back then, you had a time that you can just walk out and go up the street, and if you need some shoes, clothes, or you can just get them to change into them, right?
I'll tell you, I don't know if you remember the Copeland man that he worked up there at J. Cohen's. It was a men's store.
Okay.
And he tailored stuff. And bless his heart, my daddy loved red. So he was tailoring Daddy a red jacket for me to give to him for Christmas. And Daddy got sick, and I didn't give it to him because he was in the hospital. And then when my daddy did pass away, I told Kid, I said, I used that red coat 'cause he loved it. I said I had to bury him in that red coat you made for him, but I did that.
Well, stores that does a tailoring is almost unheard of
Oh,
now,
well,
isn't it?
you wouldn't know. I don't know of anybody that does it.
Not around here, I don't. It's a lost art. It's like the shoe shining,
Yeah, well,
What
that's
is-
true.
Yeah, and I know some drugstores had a shoe shine guy had a little booth thing outside and did that.
And made a little bit of money, right?
Yeah. Now, a question that I have: your store was named Smith's Drugstore, and I always wondered how come you didn't change the name.
Well, I've got a good answer. That drugstore had been there for 30-something years. And the man that owned it to begin with, he lived in Spartanburg and he run Smith's Wholesale there. And he owned 33 independent Smith's drugstore around in Spartanburg and Whitmire, different places that he had them. And he started selling them. So, see, Dr. Calvert had bought that one, and then he had run it when he got old. He sold it to us.
Okay, I was always wondering about that. How because usually when people buy a business, they'll change the name or
Well,
something
see,
like that. But
I didn't explain why we didn't change the name. Nobody can spell Rippy. They put R-I-P-P-I-E, R-I-P-P-E-Y, R-I-P-P-Y is the way it's spelled. So that's why we didn't do it, and it had been there, so it was
it's almost like an icon, wasn't it?
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the answer. Icon, right?
Yeah. And that's what I kind of thought. But I think, well, because most people when they buy a business, immediately they want to change it to their name or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not like that you don't have no names
Well,
on
they
it.
still got one left, Jerry, in Spartanburg.
Oh, okay.
That's independent. That's still named Smith's Drugstore. That was under all that.
Is that the one right on Main Street?
Yeah.
Right there across from Crest Printing. It used to be
Right.
Crest 5 and 10, I think, years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been in there a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, that's the only one that was left.
It's probably the only ones left all around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
He sold all of his that he had.
Right.
With that one.
Well, I know that when you close down and everything's out of it and stuff like that, that you've now the building just still stands there, but you've donated it to the University of South Carolina Union, I think, hadn't you?
Yes.
And for them to do something with it there, and that's one thing that that people love is that you and Bobby were very strong on helping on education. You really believed in education, and for
Right.
people to have the opportunity, and that's what you and Bobby, him going to college and driving that, and you seen how hard it was for that too. I mean, it wasn't an easy thing for him to do, and you help so many people with the colleges here to where people have
Well,
opportunity
you know
to
what?
go.
That's true. Because, see, I opened up that nursing school here.
Yes, and the Rippey building,
Right. The Rippy
the
building.
Rippey building, and they spelled it right.
I know what I told them they better.
Yeah, and that would be funny if they played the trick on you and put a little IE up there.
Yeah, right. It would have, right.
But in doing so much for the education for here in Union, and also, of course, Charleston, where Bobby graduated from. But the things that you give back to this community, as far as helping, not only just helping like one person like that, but I'm talking about helping organizations that's going to benefit students, that's going to benefit Union, and that nurses building there. I was really proud to see that I live streamed the commencement, and there was I think 8 graduates from the nursing school that got their bachelor's degree.
Well, that saves their parents a lot of money because they can stay at home and things, the students locally.
It did, and when they did, the first thing I thought about was you.
Yeah.
They didn't have to go out of town. They didn't have to go away from their families if they lived here in Union. and that's hard to do for someone that's going to college. My granddaughter's going to PC. She's not that far away, but far enough away from home. If you've never been home, it's hard on the parents. It's hard on the student to get acclimated like that for it to really get into their studies because they're thinking about home, especially that first year. And but with your and Bobby's help, your legacy and both of you will live on forever, and you'll be known forever for the Rippey building and watching it grow, the university, watching it grow. And so all these things here that you and Bobby have worked for all your lives, and where God has blessed you, you're blessing others. And I know that God is got a special crown for you.
Well, he already has. And let me tell you right quick, is that I am fixing to give some money to the local university here that's going to be unreal.
Well,
If nothing happens, I'm going to work it out, I hope.
well, I know that you're a big philanthropist, and God blesses you. And with this blessing, if you'd only see probably, if God opened your eyes and just see all the people that reaping the benefits of your generosity. And we thank you in Union. I thank you, and thank you for being a friend of mine and for being on my show.
Well, thank you for being a friend of mine. And you know what? I love you and your wife to the moon and back.
That's your saying.
That's my saying.
And with that, well, I'm Jerry McKee, and you've been listening to Barbara Rippey here on the show at prime time. And we're going to have next week, we're going to have a different guest next week. It's not a bashing of this guest because this guest is an atheist, but I want you to learn what an atheist is. I want you to learn what he thinks. He actually is a very good person. He helps the community. He does a lot of good. And I don't know if you're going to change him or not, but maybe God got some other avenues for him. Who knows? But that's next week, next Monday. Tune in next time. I'm Jerry McKee, and Barbara Rippey is with me, and we are out of here.